Okay, now we'll see the working of rectifiers and regulators. Basically, rectifiers are the circuits which are used to convert AC signal into DC signal. So DC signals are very much required for getting uh, operating any ICs which require a constant DC voltage. So let us try to understand what is the circuit that is used to get a pure DC signal from AC signal. So we will start with a very simple rectifier called as a half wave rectifier, half wave rectifier. So which is usually written as HWR. The circuit corresponding to this is because usually the input voltage for AC signal will be obtained from a 230 volt AC signal which is of 50 Hertz in frequency typically, and we're going to have a step down transformer. The step down transformer can be of different type. It can be a center tap transformer or it can be a non-center tap transformer. Suppose if you have a 230 volt AC signal with 50 Hertz, if it is not having any center tap, suppose if you say this is 0 and 9 volt, so this is a 9 volt RMS voltage with respect to this point. You can see from 230 volt RMS, it has been stepped down to 9 volt RMS. It is also possible to get one more type of transformer where you have a center tap. So we can have a center tap transformer which can be 9 volt here, this is 0 and this is again 9. Suppose if you are using these two extremes, so this will become 18 volt RMS in total with respect to this. If you are using only this and this, then it will become again 9 volt RMS, and again here it is 9 volt RMS. That depends on where you are taking which are two terminals you are considering it for the circuit diagram. So let us try to use a transformer which is having no center tap. So assume that this is 9 volt and 0 volt. So this is uh, my diode circuit, diode, and this is V0. So if I say this is, so this is basically a very simple circuit diagram of half wave rectifier. So as we know that we're going to have the input voltage with respect to time. This is again with respect to time. I want to have the input voltage being a sine wave, something like this. So let me also write the output voltage overlapping here itself. If you consider this as an ideal circuit during positive half cycle, so during positive half of the input waveform, the diode is conducting, so it will be a closed switch. So I will say it as this is short circuit. Once it is short circuit, V0 is equal to this. So V0 is simply following this output voltage. It is, we are considering it as an ideal circuit, so it is simply overlapping on this. So during negative half cycle, so negative half the input voltage, so it is a open circuit. So it's an open circuit. So when it is open circuit, output voltage across RL is 0. So this is what we're going to get. So let me just write it using a bit darker pen. So this is now, this is how it goes. This is fully off, this is now again on, so on. So we have the input voltage following, sorry, output voltage following the input during positive cycle. During negative half cycle, output voltage is 0. We can represent this entire circuit in two different regions of operation. When it is positive half, you can rewrite this circuit, this diode as a short circuit, and you can write this is V0, and we can write this as V in here. So V0 is equal to, okay, so this is not V in, let me just consider this as V in. So this is the V signal VAC. So V0 is equal to V in because it's a short circuit. And if you consider the open circuit, suppose if you consider, okay, there is a primary here. If you consider this as open circuit, and this is during the positive half cycle, this is during negative half, so V0 is equal to 0 volt. This is how it reflects here. If you consider, a circuit which is one second, which you consider a circuit which is typically typical circuit, so then I cannot consider it as a full short circuit. So I will still consider short circuit, but there is a built-in potential that will be considered whenever it is what considered as forward bias. So I will have it as So this is positive, negative. This is V gamma, or we call it as when the diode is on, VD on, and we'll have the switch which is closed now. So this is now RL. So this is your V in, and this is the V gamma or whatever. So this is closed when it is the positive half. During the positive of the waveform, suppose if I rewrite again the input output thing. So this is not fully during the positive cycle when the input voltage is greater than V gamma. When the input voltage is greater than V gamma, then only this will close, otherwise it is open. So meaning, if you consider this as V gamma, till that point the diode is off. So only after that voltage, that is V gamma, so only that onwards you can see this is now increasing. Can you see there is it's not exactly overlapping. Of course during negative half cycle it is fully off. So at each and every point there's a difference of V gamma between this is your input voltage, and of course we have this as the output voltage. So at each and every point, if you measure the difference between input and output is always this V gamma. So this is your V naught. So V naught I can write it as V in minus V gamma. So output voltage is always less than the input by gamma, that is the built-in potential, which is usually 0.7. But of course during negative half cycle diode is off. It's not only during negative half cycle, for any input voltage less than V gamma, output is 0. If you write the transfer characteristics of this diode, this half wave rectifier, if you write this as V in and V naught, so during negative half cycle, this is assume that this is 0, and if you consider the negative half cycle, then the output is 0. So if you consider the positive half cycle, from 0 itself it is rising, because you are considering it as an ideal circuit. If you consider a non-ideal circuit, so then this slightly changes. This is V naught, this is V in, this is 0. If you consider this as V gamma or VD on, till VD on it is 0 here. You can see the output voltage is 0. Once the input voltage exceeds VD on, now you can see it is increasing. So if you consider this as the reference point, at each and every point you're going to have a VD on difference or V gamma difference. That's what we saw here. That's what we saw here. This is how you'll get a pulsating DC. For an input voltage sine wave, you are getting an output voltage which is something like this. The negative half cycle is, this is time, this is V naught. If you want to find what is the average voltage, that is the average voltage of the output voltage is nothing but VDC, which will be equal to V peak by pi. So if I call this voltage as V peak by pi will be the the average voltage. Suppose that will be this. This is your VDC. The DC voltage is V pi by pi. But what is expected is a pure DC signal. Pure DC signal is still far away from this. This rectifier circuit won't give a pure DC signal. I need to have some more extra circuitry for this one, so that I get a pure DC signal. So I need to somehow ensure that whatever AC component you have in this pulsating DC has to be removed. That can be done using a filter circuit. So let us have a rectifier and a filter. Rectifier plus filter. As the name itself indicates, filter is the one which filters the AC signal. So which filters the AC component in your output signal. I want to take out that AC component. A very simple circuit for that would be, again you have your rectifier. This is primary. You have 230 volt AC signal with 50 Hertz frequency. You have this diode, and then you have your resistor, then you have this capacitor C. This is your R. So this is your diode. Let us see how does this behave during the positive half cycle. So let us still consider this as a typical diode. So if you consider this as a typical diode, then the equivalent circuit, of course, this is your transformer, secondary, and then you have the primary of the this is what I will write. This is my switch, and you can see there is a resistor R and there is a capacitor C. So this is my C, and this is R. This is switch is closed. This is V gamma R, VD on. This is my capacitor. If I write the waveform, this is my input voltage. This is my input voltage, which is rising like this. And then again the second half cycle. If there was no capacitor, the output voltage would have been something like this. Till okay, this is what V in, that is at this point. This is V in at this point. So without the capacitor, it would have went like this. So this is what we are getting. Sorry, this is not overlap. Can you see at each and every point it is a VD on difference. Now see here, from this is with respect to time. This is V in, so this is the voltage at this point. Can you see only after from here to here diode is on. D is on, diode is on. When diode is on, can you see this diode will have a resistance RF which is very small in nature. This is going to have a resistance very small in nature. This capacitor will charge to this voltage through this. Okay, now you have this capacitor which is being charged to this input voltage. So this is, you have a small resistor which is RF, which is very small in terms of very small resistance. So that's why the output voltage across this capacitor, the voltage across capacitor rises instantaneously along with the input voltage. You can see it went here. So what is this green one? So green one is voltage across the capacitor. So voltage across the capacitor rises along with the input voltage because this rise time is proportional to tau charge, which is equal to RF into C. Since RF is very less, then it almost increases along with the input. If your input voltage increases, it won't take any much time because this time constant is very less. Because my RF is less, it charges almost along with that. So once it reaches the peak, so what is the voltage at this peak point? The voltage at this peak point is Vp minus Vd on. So Vp minus Vd on is the peak voltage. Now assume that now input voltage start reducing. When the input voltage start reducing, diode starts reverse bias. So when the diode turns off, this switch is open. When this switch is open, so what you have a peculiar situation where you have this is your, of course, now you have this, but this switch is open now. This switch is open. You have this resistor and you have this capacitor. So here the capacitor is charged to Vp minus Vd on. This is a capacitor voltage, and you have a resistor. This switch is open. Now capacitor has got a path to discharge to this resistor. Now capacitor starts discharging whatever charge that it has stored here, which is nothing but Vp minus Vd on, is started discharging to ground through this resistor. Can you see now? Since usually the resistance value is bit large in magnitude, since the value of resistance is more, it takes longer time. Whereas in the case of when the capacitor was charging, it was charging very fast because the value of RF, which is the forward resistance of the diode, is bit less, it charges fast. Whereas since we have intentionally selected the value of R to be more, it is discharging slowly. When it is discharging slowly, it just goes like this. Can you see it is discharging slowly now? Now it is keep going like this, keep going like this. So it tries to go below this, but it can't go below this because your input voltage is increasing. When the input voltage increases, this switch which was open will close. Once it closes, the capacitor again starts charging. See here, at this point from here, so this is okay. This was D on when there was no capacitor. When there was no capacitor, D was on till this point. Now once you put the capacitor, D is on only during this period. Can you see now? D is on now. Once the capacitor reaches the peak voltage, D becomes off. So D is now off here till what point? Till this point. So D is off now. Again, when D is on, can you see this is charging now along with your input voltage? It is keep charging. So here it is on, and again it goes to off condition. When it is off, it is discharging slowly. The discharging time constant, if I say it as tau discharge, is proportional to R into C. This is that R. This is that R. Of course, R can also be written as RL. Can you see now? While discharging, it is going exponentially down like this. So can I write V out with respect to time? Can you see this V out is keep on changing with respect to time? This is your time. Can you see it is keep on going down? So can I write it as the voltage, output voltage with respect to time can be written as the peak voltage, that is Vp minus Vd on into exponential minus T by RC. So why it is exponential means because we are talking about a capacitor. So we are talking about a capacitor whose charge is Vp minus Vd on at the time of discharge. Now it is discharging through this resistor. This is my capacitor. For the discharging time constant, it is R into C. How it is discharging is it is exponentially discharging. So that I can write exponential minus T by RC. Since it is discharging, it is T by RC. Why it is exponential is because capacitors will always charge exponentially and will discharge exponentially also. This is because this is the peak voltage when it was started discharging. So usually we know that this is what is the time what we have. So this is the time. Suppose if I say what is the time that you are talking about is it is from here to here. This is the time you are talking about. This is the time what you are talking about. Can you see this is this time from this peak to this peak, this peak to this peak, is it 1 hour frequency? Because this is one peak, this is the other peak of next cycle, so this is actually 1 hour frequency. So since if you can see this, is this time very negligible compared to this overall time? So I will say it as tx. So I'll call this as capital T. So actually, to be very frank, total T, that is 1 hour frequency, is given by total T is given by T plus Tx. This T is what? This is the time at which your capacitor is discharging, and this is the charging time. Usually this time is very less compared to this time. So since Tx is very small, can I write T is equal to capital T? Okay, now what I'll do is if you can see this V out of T, I'll just split. I'll expand this e power. Can we write exponential of minus x as 1 minus x if x is far less than 1? This is the mathematical proof. You can prove it. Exponential of minus x can be written as 1 minus x, where x is very small, which is true in this case. This is time. This time is very small compared to this value of RC. RC is usually far greater than T. So this entire ratio is always less than 1. So that I can write exponential minus T by RC as, I can write it as Vp minus Vd on into 1 minus x is what? T by RC. So I can write V out of T as equal to Vp minus Vd on minus Vp minus Vd on into T by RC. T by RC. If this T becomes equal to this overall voltage, shall we consider this as the ripple voltage? So the magnitude from here to here. So I can write V ripple voltage as equal to this quantity replacing small t by capital T is equal to Vp minus Vd on multiplied by T into RC. So okay, T by RC. So this can also be written as Vp minus Vd on, because this T is nothing but 1 over F. I can write it as F first. That's what is there in the textbook also. You can just have a look at this textbook. Okay, this is what the expression is. Now you can see during this period. So when the capacitor is charging, can you see this is switch is turned on, you have a V gamma, and then during this period, whenever the diode is off, can you see this is open and your capacitor is only discharging through this. So this is what is the expression for your V out as it is written there, and of course we have the similar type of derivation here. So we will end up with the ripple voltage is given by Vp minus Vd on multiplied by T divided by R into C. Of course, instead of taking it as R, they have taken it as RL. So this is what is the final expression for the ripple voltage which is there across the capacitor once you put a capacitor in the circuit. That is this ripple voltage, whatever you have from here to here, this purely depends on the value of R as well as the value of C. Suppose if you increase the value of C, then what happens to this ripple voltage as per the expression? So as the value of C increases, the value of ripple voltage will reduce. So of course same thing is true in case of R. Suppose usually if the value of R is constant, you will change the value of C so that you can have a you will increase the value of C so that the ripple voltage reduces. Maybe what we'll do is we will do an experiment in remote lab to understand all these things. So what is the average voltage? So average voltage was said to be Vm by pi, that is V peak by pi, that is where is that? We had the voltage, the peak voltage here. You can see the average voltage VDC is V peak by pi, and we will also see what is the ripple voltage Vp minus Vd on by FRC. So F is the frequency, which is nothing but 1 over T, and then R into C. So we will just log into the remote lab. Okay, let me just take out this. Okay, let me just this is our remote lab. Let me just take out this also. Let me start from the beginning. Okay, this is where I can run my program. So now I'm just running it. I will select half a rectifier. This is my rectifier circuit. You can see this is actually using a 909 transformer, so that overall voltage will be 18 volt RMS. So, and of course we know that it is V peak by pi. So let us try to find out. Okay, let me open this unlock discovery. Let me open the scope. Open the scope. Now let me just conduct the experiment and run this. Can you see now we are getting a waveform here? So since the range is not proper, I'm not able to see the waveforms now. Let me just change this also to 5. Now you can see okay, let me just stop this and then try to understand what are the voltages. See now the yellow one is input voltage. Maybe if you want to make it slightly thicker, you can make it around 2 3. You can see this is input voltage and of course this is output voltage. As we saw in your this also, can you see there is a separation, this not exactly overlapping. We have a gap of V gamma, that is the diode drop. Same thing is seen here. Can you see this is not exactly overlapping? This voltage is actually the diode drop. So what you can do is you can actually measure what is the diode drop. So I can go to this measure, add define measurements. I will measure the maximum of channel 1 and maximum of channel 2. The difference will actually give me the VD on, that is diode drop. Can you see one is 23.2, other is 22.5. Can you see the difference is almost 0.7 volts. So 700 millivolts is the diode drop. That's what is very clearly seen here, and which we expect from the circuit also. And we can also measure what is the what average voltage of this. So I can measure the average voltage of this by going for this average and then add. Can you see the average voltage is 8.81? So what we can do is we'll just try to find out what is the average voltage. The average voltage V average or nothing but VDC is given by 8.81 volt, and we have the VP minus VD on is coming out to be 22.49 divided by pi is the VDC. So I can just verify how much that voltage is. It is let me just verify what is the voltage we are supposed to get there. Just give me 1 minute. I'm trying to find out what is the okay, I'm just looking for the calculator. Okay, it's here. It is 22.49 divided by pi is 7.15. So this is theoretically speaking 7.15 is the voltage, but you can see you are getting 8.81. So this difference in 8.81 and 7.15 is due to, you can see this is a pure sinusoidal waveform. Whatever equation that we have obtained is for a pure sine wave, but if you see this shape of the waveform, it's not a perfect sine wave. It is not a perfect sine wave because of this non sinusoidal waveform. You have a slight difference of the average voltage, so that is fine. Of course, it is very close to 8.81 volts, and 7.15 is, of course, there is a slight difference. It is due to that. This you can see that it's not pure sine wave. And let us see how does the filter will going to work out. This is my C filter. Can you see we have a resistance R1 of 1 kilo ohms, and C is of course C I can able to select from 470 microfarad and 100 microfarad. Let me select 100 microfarad and then conduct the experiment. You can see as soon as I say conduct experiment, can you see now? Let me just stop this. Now this is what is okay. I can again conduct. I can have more and more number of waveforms. You can clearly observe here, this is your capacitor is charging. You can see while charging it is going almost along with the input voltage. While discharging, can you see it is taking an exponential path. This is decreasing like this. This is again charging, discharging. It is exactly on the same lines what we discussed in the theory. It was actually going this way. Can you see here? It is exactly going, it is charging over like this, and then it is keep reducing. It's exactly the way how we expected. So it is coming down. So what we can do is we can actually measure what is the ripple voltage. So ripple voltage can be measured if I can measure the C2 peak to peak. So what I'll do, I'll add C2 peak to peak. That will give me the ripple voltage. So peak to peak of it is 3.5. Let me just measure. Let me just note down. From the remote lab, we ripple for half wave rectifier is coming out to be 3.5 volt, which is equal to Vp minus Vd on by FRC. So FRC, where Vp minus Vd on is that is Vp minus Vd on is this peak, that is maximum peak. It is 21.53. 21.53 divided by F is 50 Hertz. It is 1 kilohertz and then 100 microfarad. So these are the values what we have. Let me just show you that. So this is FRC. F is 50 Hertz, R is 1 kilohertz, 1 kilo ohm, and this is 100 microfarad. If you substitute all those things, so this is how much we got practically. These are all the theoretical values. Don't expect it to be exactly 3.51. It is 21.5 divided by 50 into 1 exponential 3 into 100 exponential minus 6. Can you see now it is 4.3 volt is V ripple theoretically. So of course we are getting 3.5. It's again purely due to, because here we assume that whatever this time is very negligible. So where is that? So we assume that whatever time, that is charging time, is negligible compared to the overall time. So because of all those small errors, we are getting a variation from theoretical ripple voltage of 4.3 volt to the practical ripple voltage of 3.5 volt. But it is true that as the capacitor is discharging, so as the value of capacitor increases, this ripple voltage will certainly reduce. So what we'll do is now is we will increase the value of C by almost 5 times. If I increase the value of C by 5 times, now it is exactly 4.7 times, this should also reduce. So now we can see 3.7 divided by 4. It is 3.5 divided by 4.7 times increment, so it should be 0.744 volt. The ripple voltage should reduce. Let me run this. Now when I say conduct, that 470 microfarad will be connected. Now you can see you have a reduced voltage. Can you see now the ripple voltage has reduced to 0.77, and we expected the same reduction by 4.7 times that you can see here. See here, this 3.5 reduced by 4.7 times. That is, this is for a frequency, this is for a capacitance of 100 microfarad. This is for a capacitance of 470 microfarad. Because as the value of C increases by 4.7 times, the value of ripple voltage should reduce by 4.7 times. So that's what is almost there. You're supposed to get 0.744 volt, that is 4.7 times lesser than 3.5. You're getting almost close to it. See that? Are you not getting very close to it? It is almost 770 millivolt, whereas your superior is 740 millivolt. So this way we can able to get the desired ripple voltage from a circuit. And we can also see how does maybe for the rectifier circuit. I'll go back to rectifier circuit and then conduct the experiment. Let me run this again. We were talking about this, what is that? Let me show you that also. We were talking about this transfer characteristics. Where is that transfer characteristics? It is this. We can see now this is the ideal one, whereas the typical one is something like this. So till V gamma it will be 0 and then it increases. That you can see here. You can go to view, go to this add X5. You can see that over here. I'll just expand this. Okay, it's fine now. Can you see it is still some voltage, it is output voltage 0 and then it increases. So this is exactly on the same lines as we discussed over here. This is 0 and then it increases, not exactly from 0, with a diode drop. So that's what is seen here. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we are still not yet done with the perfect rectifier, that is DC voltage, because still we have some ripple in the output voltage. You can see the ripple is there in this form of, okay, this is not a pure DC signal. So we can obtain the pure DC signal by passing this signal through a regulator. So what we'll do now, rectifier plus filter plus regulator. So that's what is our next addition to this circuit. We had this circuit now. Let me just show you now. This is what I have. This is rectifier plus filter. You have a rectifier plus filter. Along with that, we shall add a regulator also. So first it is, let me just write that. It is rectifier plus, because the entire intention is you have to get from AC signal a pure DC. So still here it was a half wave rectifier signal. Here it is still pulsating DC, or you still have some ripple voltage. If you put a regulator, then it should give a pure DC signal. So let us start writing the circuit diagram. This is my 230 volt 50 Hertz AC signal. You can have, of course, I'll just relate it to the circuit what is there in the remote lab, and you can see this is my diode, and I have my resistor, I have my capacitor, I have my, this is a regulator 78XXL, right? So this is V0, this is C, this is RL, this is diode, fine. So here it is V0, which is a pure DC signal, so that you can see here. So in this regulation we will see two important things. So in case of regulators, we have two important concepts called as line regulation and load regulation. This is load regulation. So what you can think of is, if this is your regulator, if you call it as a regulator which is going to have an input output and there is a common terminal. So let me say this is input and this is output, this is ground. Suppose if you apply, okay, let us assume that this is a 5-volt regulator. If you apply a varying DC signal from 0 to 10 volt, if you apply a 0 to 10 volt signal, what is the output voltage? What is the output voltage? That is the question. So I'm applying to a regulator which is because it is, since we have set it as 5 volt, let us assume that it is 7805 regulator. This is an IC having 3 pins, 1, 2, 3. So these are the 3 pins. So this is how it looks. The regulator will look this way. So you have a heatsink. This is terminal 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3. This is input. This is ground and this is output. You connect this to this variable power supply and this is grounded and the output is measured at this point. Now since the input voltage is varying from 0 to 10 volt, you are expecting a constant 5 volt. The question is, how does this will give voltages? Okay, this is what I'm expecting as 5 volt. This is 5 volt. The input voltage is varying from 0 to 10. So you are having this as output voltage. When the input voltage is less, you cannot expect the output voltage to be 5. So assume that this is your solid, okay, dotted line which indicates that the input voltage is varying from 0 to 10. So with a slope of 1, when the input voltage is, assume that 1 volt, the output cannot be 1. So assume that when the input voltage is some 0.5, the output is 0. Now we can see it is going along with this. It's not exactly in line, it is slightly below that, meaning if the input is 1 volt, output may be 0.5. If the input is 3 volt, output may be some 2.5. So likewise it is keep on increasing. At some point of time where you have some input voltage minimum to keep the output voltage as 5. If the input voltage exceeds this, you can see the output voltage is becoming constant at 5. So if you increase the input voltage beyond this point, then the output voltage is constant. Can you see now? As the input voltage is varied from 0 to some maximum value, till some point the output voltage is not constant because you have not crossed that minimum voltage. Once you cross that minimum voltage required to regulate it, then from then onwards this is now being get regulated. The output voltage is now constant after certain voltage. This minimum voltage will be specified in the data sheets. For 7805, that minimum voltage, V in minimum for keeping for getting a constant 5 volt is, it is 7 volt, which is there specified in the data sheet. Now what we have done in the remote lab is, instead of applying a voltage varying from 0 to 10 volt, we have taken out this and then we have connected this circuit. Now can you see, now we have this circuit. Can you see now? Okay, the circuit what we have for realizing the line regulation. Why it is called as line regulation is, the input is called as line voltage. If the input voltage is varying, how does the output regulates is nothing but line regulation. In this line regulation, I will change the input. I change the input voltage and observe, and I will observe the output voltage. Are you not changing the input voltage here, and are you not tracing how does your output changes? This is exactly the input sorry, line regulation. Your input is changing, you are trying to see how does your output is keep on changing. So this is called as line regulation. In load regulation, it's a different ball game where you change the load and try to observe the output voltage. When you change the load means you change the current there. So we'll just come to that later. So now we are now talking about how do we realize this in remote lab. So we have this again 230 volt AC signal. You have 909 transformer. This is now is connected to a regulator. You can see this regulator has got some resistance R in. Let us assume that that is equal to 1 kilo ohm, and you have this is pin number 1, 2, 3. This is 7805. Can you see at this point, because you can effectively see there is a resistor which is in the form of R in. Can you see at this point, will you have an input voltage something like this? Suppose if it is 0 to some Vx or maybe around 23 volt, can you see you are increasing the voltage from 0 to 23 volt, something like this, which we expected over here. For doing line regulation, I should vary the input voltage from 0 to some larger voltage. Are we doing the same thing here in the form of a rectified signal? So our intention was to apply a varying signal. This itself will act like a varying signal, 0 to some Vp. So when this is varying up to certain voltage, the input also varies. So how does your output will look like is, because you have some voltage that is V in minimum to keep the to give a constant voltage. Till that point output voltage will be slightly less than input. Afterwards output becomes constant. Why it is becoming constant? It is becoming constant because your input voltage has exceeded that minimum voltage to keep the this to regulate. Now if your input voltage further reduces, then it just comes down. When it is something like this, you can see it just goes like this. So this is regulated. Here it is following. This entire thing is called as line regulation, because you are changing the line voltage. As the line voltage changes, how does your circuit behave? So circuit is also changing along with the input voltage. The output voltage is changing along with the input voltage as long as input is less than that minimum voltage. That's what we saw here. If your input voltage is less than minimum, that is less than 7 volt, it is keep changing along with this. If the input exceeds that 7, then your output is constant at whatever the required regulated voltage is. So we'll just see the same thing in remote lab here. Oh, sorry. Let me just go here. Now let me select that line regulation. I can select 7805. Let me conduct. Oh, sorry. Let me keep running. Can you see now? This is what is interesting. See now the input voltage, is it a half rectified signal as we expected here? Are we applying a signal which is something like this? This is half rectified signal, and you can see the output voltage goes along with that and it becomes constant after that minimum voltage. That you can see here also. Can you see here? Let me just expand this. So when your input voltage is less, you can see blue color, which is the output voltage. Can you see the output voltage is also going along with this? Of course, you can see these are the changes that happens in your actual circuit, but to be practical, we'll just say that it is going along with this. So if the input voltage is beyond this, beyond this input voltage, can you see this output is constant? This is what is called as line regulation. To plot a graph, what you can do is you can just simply put some cursors. Wait, I can just put some cursors here. This is X cursor. I can put n number of cursors and then put them appropriately to know what are the voltages at different points. What I'll do is I'm just trying to place cursors at different position, and I want to measure the output voltage. Now you just have a look at this particular point. Can you see this is C1 is input, C2 is output. C1 is 1.4, C2 is 0.4. C1 is 2.2, it is 0.48. Can you see it is 3.8, it is 2.9. It is 5.7, it is 4.8. I'll just slightly interchange them because it is because it should be in the increasing order. Okay, somewhere here now. can you see the fifth one it is 6.28, it's almost 5.4. 7.7 it is 5.4. 11.1 it is 5.4. You can put few more and you can just put them. Can you see it is 16 5.4, 19 5.4. Now the output voltage is constant at 5.4 volts, of course, instead of 5 volts. Now it's a regulator which is giving a constant voltage at 5.4. What is the minimum required voltage? The minimum required voltage in this particular case is 6.28. When the input voltage tries to go above, you can just further zoom it and then see it out here. You can just place it somewhere here. Can you see it is almost 6.38 volt? Sorry, not that one, this one. Fifth one. Can you see fifth one is okay, 6.38. For input voltage of 6.38, output voltage is 5.48, which is fairly constant here afterwards. So this is called as line regulation. Of course, we have seen this graph. Can you see? We have actually seen this graph. This is line regulation graph. This is, of course, it's increasing along with the input voltage and then it becomes constant at 5. Of course, in practically it is coming out to be 5.4. So it's okay, fine. So let us see whether it is possible to get similar type of. I'll just try to get it. So what you can do, go to this view, add xy. Can you see this again here? What I'll do is I'll just make this bigger enough so that you can able to see it. Can you see the input voltage is increasing, output is also increasing. If the input voltage goes beyond this value, you can see it's becoming constant. So this is exactly your transfer characteristics of the line regulation. As you are increasing the line voltage, so the output voltage also increases till certain minimum voltage. After that minimum voltage, output voltage is constant at that rated voltage. In this particular case, it is 5.4 volts. 5.4 volts, it is constant, which is seen here also. Of course, here we just took a number of points. Here it is the graphical representation. So this way we can able to see the line regulation which we have observed over here. So this is how the line regulation will happen. If you can actually see the circuit of this, if you can clearly note down the circuit here, you can see you don't have a resistor. The required resistor for this capacitor discharge is the internal, sorry, not the capacitor discharge. For this diode to complete the path is the input resistance of this regulator. Same thing can be done for 7812 also. I can select 7812. You can see now I have selected 7812. I will conduct. I will just acquire new set of values. Can you see now it has changed to let me just stop this. Okay, let me just take the points and then I will stop it now so that I can get some more. Okay, I will remove all of them. Now this is for a 12 volt regulator. Maybe it is 12 point something voltage. You can just put few X cursors, put few. You can see this is voltage bit less. This is more than what is minimum required. Can you see here it is for 4.3 it is 3.7, for 9.6 it is still 8. Now you can see for 9.6 it is not yet saturated because I am working with a 7812 regulator. It is a 12 volt regulator. It requires voltage. Let me just try to see how much is the minimum voltage required. So minimum voltage required is 13.4. If the voltage is more than 13.4, then output is get regulated. Can you see now it is 18, output voltage is 12.3. Even if the voltage is something like if the voltage is how much 22 also, it is 12.3. so now the constant voltage is 12.3 volt. The minimum voltage required is 13.4 in this particular regulator. So this way we can able to see the line regulation. Of course, same thing can be even we can see the what is that transfer characteristics. So this is how the transfer characteristics will look like. You can just make sure that everything is visible. Can you see now? Of course, this is due to your IC. You can see it is keep increasing and then it becomes constant at 12.3. This is how we can able to understand the working of this rectifier. Now we can see it is a constant voltage, but still it is not purely rectified, okay, constant voltage, because you can see it is still less than that. So we will see how do we get a constant voltage. So to get a constant voltage, what I'll do is I'll just show you this circuit. Can you see now? Here, this, of course, what you have now is you neither have a capacitor nor have a resistor. This resistor is actually realized using this, okay, input impedance. Now let me put a capacitor and try to see what is the output voltage. So that I'll just show you now. So that can be seen in this load regulation. I'll go to load regulation. Just carefully observe how the circuit looks like. Can you see now? There's a diode, there's a capacitor. The resistor required for this capacitor to discharge is the input impedance. Can you see this is a regulator? If I, of course, I'll select no load. I will conduct the experiment. Now you can see what you get. I will, okay, now let me just remove all of them. I'll remove all cursors. Whatever you are seeing now here, the two plots, two waveforms are, let me stop this. This is the input voltage that is applied to the regulator. This is the constant output voltage from the regulator. I'll just go back to this. See here, what are the voltage you're going to have here? What are the type of shape of the waveform? What are the shape of the waveform you're going to have it here? Is the shape flat here because this is the output regulator? Because this will be flat if the input voltage is more than V in minimum that is required. We know that for 7805 the minimum voltage was 6.8 volt. If the input voltage is more than 6.8 volt, I'll get it as 5.4 volts. So that's what I was getting in my regulator in my remote lab. Otherwise it should be exactly 5 volt. If the input voltage is more than 6.8, then I'll get constant. So when I say more than 6.8, so it should be some area. This is 5.4, and if my output voltage is something above 6.8, then I'll get a constant DC voltage. So that's what you're seeing here. Can you see this is too far above from that 6.8? So what is the voltage that you have? The minimum voltage of C1. So what I can do is I can remove all these things. I'll remove all of them. I will add, okay, let me just take out this. Let me try to, so vertical in, I'll try to find out what is C1 maximum, C1 minimum, channel 2 average voltage. Just have a look at this. Is the voltage minimum itself is 17 volt? Since the voltage here itself is 17 volts, which is far more than minimum required, and of course the maximum voltage is 21.3 volt. Can you see the output voltage is always constant at 5.4 volt throughout? So from a pure sine waveform having a 50 Hz signal, can you see at the output of your regulator with filtering and all those things, are you now getting a pure DC signal of 5 volts? The entire journey is something like this. See here, you have a step down transformer. Let me just explain that. You can see there is a step down transformer, there is a rectifier, there is a filter. Of course, the resistance that is required for this filter is the input impedance of this regulator. And finally, can you see the regulated output voltage, a pure DC signal? So from this AC signal, through this rectifier, through this filter, through this regulator, I can able to get a pure AC signal. That's what is, sorry, pure DC signal. That's what is shown here. Rectifier is this and this part, filter is this part. Again, this RL is not exclusively present in my remote lab circuit. Whatever input impedance you have, that itself is, we consider it as, because all ICs will have some internal impedance, that itself is taken as RL. You can see you have a regulated output voltage. So from a sine wave you could able to get a pure DC signal, which is over here. But of course, provided you have the input voltage which is more than 6.8, which is now in this case, how much was that? That was somewhere around, it's always above 17.3. Can you see this is always above 17.3. This is minimum, which is 17.3. So you can able to easily understand. Of course, these type of rectifiers can be repeated for full wave rectifier also. So I'll just go through that. full wave rectifier, just see the rectification. Can you see now this is even during the negative half cycle you could be able to get both output voltages in the same positive half cycle. So you can also see the, let me just take out this, you can see, of course you can measure the average voltage. You can see the average voltage is 7.0 volt, which you can again 2 Vm by pi. Vm or V peak is some okay, this voltage is V peak is how much, it's around 11 volt. You can actually verify all these values. You can add X5 so that you can see this this type of transfer characteristics. When the input voltage is either positive or negative, the output voltage is always positive. This is exactly how it is represented here. And you can do the what is that, filtering. Have a filter, take a value of 100 microfarad. You can see you have the ripple. You can measure the peak to peak voltage of this. What you can do is you can just go to this and then over here, okay, not average, peak to peak. Can you see this is peak to peak voltage? Make it to 470. You can see it reduces to almost by 5 times. This is what is that, line regulation, sorry, capacitor, effect of capacitor, and then go to line regulation, connect 7805 and then conduct here. You can see it is regulating at some voltage. After some voltage you can see it is becoming constant here, because at minimum 6.8 once it crosses it becomes constant. That's why it is stable. And we'll see for 7812 how it looks. You can also observe that the peak voltage is 11.28. You're trying to apply that maximum voltage to 7812. Let us observe what happens here. Let me run. You can observe, this is one very good observation. It is not yet become constant at all, because you can see the input voltage maximum itself is 11.2, but when we actually saw in the previous case, the minimum voltage required to keep it constant is around 13.8. So since the input itself is not exceeded that, this is not become constant at what is that, 12 volt. So this is nowhere 12 because the input itself is less than 12. No? So what I mean to say here is, just observe this. We had this line regulation. We had this line regulation for especially for that full wave rectifier. The input voltage that what we are applying to 7812 should be greater than 13.8 volt to get a constant 12 volt. To get a constant 12 volt. Since the input voltage applied is less than 13.8, which is exactly how much? 11.2. I am not getting a constant voltage of 12 volt in this particular circuit because my input voltage is less. So this particular circuit is intentionally made such that made to showcase that if the input voltage is not greater than the minimum voltage, you will not get the regulation. So you will not get the regulation. So what I mean to say is, suppose if the input voltage is less than minimum, so you'll get only this graph. You'll get only this graph. You'll not get this constant graph. So that's what I want to showcase here. That I'll show you here. If I just add this add xy, can you see has it become constant? It hasn't become constant at all. It is still in that linear part. It has not become constant. Why it has not become constant is because you're not exceeded that input voltage. This is one interesting observation here. Whereas when you go to 7805, it is perfect because you have exceeded that minimum voltage. Can you see for this it is perfect? I've just run this. Can you see now it is now become flat? Can just show you that. Can you see this has become okay? Add x5, where it went? Okay, it has gone somewhere. Okay, now you can see for 7805 it is fine. You can see it is becoming flat. So why it is not happening for 7812 is my transformer rating is bit less. So since my transformer rating is less, I'm not getting a voltage which is required, which is more than minimum required to keep it in constant voltage. So whereas of course we can certainly see the load regulation also. 7805, you can see I will make it no load, conduct the experiment. Of course, you can see here, is the output voltage constant? Can you see the output voltage is constant at 5.4 because the input voltage is always above 6.8. You can see the minimum voltage is 10. This is always above 6.8. That's why I'm getting perfect constant voltage of 5.4. Suppose if I do it for 7812, let us see the issue. You can see I'm not getting. You can see this is not at all constant. Can you see this output is not constant at all. It is varying along with your input voltage. Why it is varying along with your input voltage? Because you are there still in this part of the graph. You are still in this part of the graph. You never went to this part of the graph. When do you go to this part of the graph? Only when the input voltage is more. So that is possible in this particular circuit if I increase the rating of the transformer from 909 to maybe 1205. So that is one interesting observation. Why it is not regulated means because the input voltage required for 7812 is not available in this circuit. Whereas for 7805 it is available, it's coming. You can see it's coming here. Can you see it's perfectly coming here? So this is one good observation. So in the next video we'll see how does a bridge rectifier will be used to get the exact rectification, filtering and regulation. Thank you.